Hello YouTube. It's spring again. Thank goodness. Happy for spring. Time to get back in the garden and do some things. I'm already taking up the greenhouse this year. I'll be doing a little work in there, and I'm rotating crops again this year. Had tomatoes sort of between my onions here last year, so we're going to do that in beans this year. So have a good relationship. You know, the beans will put back into the soil some of the things the tomatoes need, and then vice versa. So where I put the beans last year, we're going to do tomatoes this year down in this end. As you can see, I've already done a little work. I've been doing some tilling, but signs of spring everywhere. As you can see on my peach tree, I'm already starting to get some little peaches right there. Sorry, I don't know if you can see that. Little fuzzy peaches. They're all over this tree. Started to get them some good growth on the grapes that I planted last year. All of them have little blooms. This one in the middle's not doing as well, but definitely starting to get some results. I think hopefully we'll get some grapes by the end of this year, this season. But I'm going to be doing some tilling today, putting some lime on it, and then I'll start some planting with some, got my spreader for my lime. Also going to be planting some herbs that I started inside. Got about 100 or so tomato plants inside. I don't know that I'm going to put them out today. Just real concerned every time I do it, I always get surprised by a late frost. But as you can see, I've already got quite a few of my herbs coming in. Oregano is really abundant. Chives are starting to come on strong. Got 2 big stands of chives and several other herbs. These here that I started inside are dill and cilantro / coriander here, which is a good 2-in-1. Today I'm going to be planting some beans, some red beans that I started last year, and also some white pole beans that I started. These are some that I dried out and put in the freezer to preserve over winter. Also going to be breaking open some of these okra here. Dried those out last year. It's a good way to preserve the seeds for the next year, is to just dry out some of your last okra from the end of the season, and then just put them into baggies so that you can do it. Also got a lot of my other seeds that I was able to save from this last year, so looks like time to get to work. You can see I made quite a bit of compost this year. I'm going to start out by spreading some of this on the garden, tilling it in one time over before I start planting my seeds. Give the soil a little booster. Hey, got done with doing a little bit of tilling, some soil amendments, putting a little bit of lime into the soil, as well as some compost. Now, got the garden basically ready, done some planting already, if you can see, but I've got 4 rows of red kidney beans that are planted here in between these 2 onion rows that I had inside of my greenhouse. And now I've started rowing up where I'm going to put all the okra. I put this little stagger pattern. I've done it for the last several years, and actually it's pretty close together, but okra doesn't have a chance to, it doesn't really crowd each other out, so because they're kind of tall and skinny. But so basically about a 4-inch pattern back and forth, and sort of a raised row. I'm really efficient since I don't have much space that I'm gardening in, but certainly that yields one raised row there with all those holes. By the time I get done planting it, this will yield more than my family will eat this whole winter next year in okra. Just got through making some holes and putting seeds in them. It's going to be probably hard to tell, but I took basically the end of my garden here, last 4 feet or so, and then tightly staggered holes. I'm starting right around here. I did 7 different rows and staggered them back and forth, kind of in the same little okra pattern. You can see some of the open holes. But what I've done is I've planted sweet corn in every other row. And then in between each one of those, I planted a lazy Housewife, which is it's an heirloom variety, nearly stringless bean. That hopefully, if both come up, we'll be able to use the corn stalks to instead of having to string poles for the string beans. So hopefully all that'll work out, and I'll be giving you updates as we get along further in the year. Just finishing up for today. Made 6 mounds there with a couple of holes in each, and then I'm doing some cucumbers in these. So end of day 1 of planting. So we have our corn and our string beans in these rows between these 2 stakes. Got this big wide open area here between for my peppers and tomatoes, which I'm going to wait probably just at least until midweek, so I can get a good 10-day forecast to make sure we're not going to have another frost. But went ahead and planted that double row of okra, of course all the onions, and then these kidney bean rows, more onions, and finished of course all the hills here for that. Didn't mention earlier, but already getting tons of flowers into my fruit beds, and also some very tall blueberries bushes coming through. Should get some good amount of blueberries this year, along with this huge blackberry bush that's coming up everywhere around the yard now. It's really established. Also was able to plant some herbs here, dill, coriander, cilantro. So end of a good first day of planting here. Looking forward to the rest of the season.